Hey guys, it's Jessii Vee. So I would just firstly like to say thank you so much to everyone that came to my Brampton meet and greet on Monday. You guys have absolutely no idea how much that meant to me. I was promoting it a ton and I only got like a handful of responses from people saying they were going. So when I first arrived at the event, I thought, oh, maybe I'll see like 8 to 10 people, and that was still like good enough for me. Like I was excited to see those 8 to 10 people. We'd be able to hang out, hug each other. I'd be happy just seeing even one of you guys, honestly. But when I got there, there was 200 people that showed up, maybe even more than that, and my heart, I was in such shock because I was like, whoa, you guys actually came. It made me so happy, and I got to meet every single one of you, and it's crazy because it was supposed to end at 9 p.m. and we literally went all the way to 10:45 because of how long the meet and greet line was. But I was telling the staff there, I was like, we are not stopping this meet and greet. I don't care. I want to meet every single one of them. So there was no way anyone was telling me that they were cutting it off at 9 p.m. I was like, no, we're finishing the whole thing. No, but honestly, the staff there was so friendly and they agreed. They wanted me to meet everyone as well. And it was just a great night. I left like sobbing, like happy tears. And the amount of people who came up to me and said that I got them through their anxiety or their depression or that I saved their life, those words just impacted me so greatly, and it sort of inspired me to make this video today because yes, I have talked about my anxiety and a bit of my depression before. I did that animated series, but the thing is, those videos were just like 3 minutes long, so I've never actually sat down here and told my whole story, and I can't go into every single detail or we'll be here forever because anxiety and depression have been a part of just the bulk of my life, honestly. It's a part of my everyday routine. So I can't get into everything, but I thought I'd sit down here for like 10 minutes and just briefly go over what I've been through in my life. Because anxiety and depression is not a rare thing. It's not like, oh, every so often you'll find someone who's going through it. It's really common, and it's so sad to me how early of an age it can start. And on my channel, I really want to make videos that you guys can relate to and feel inspired by and just learn from. And I know that if you are going through anxiety and depression, that hearing my story can maybe give you comfort, just so you know you're not alone and that someone else is going through it. And I'm still here, I'm still going, and life is still good. So I need to figure out where I'm gonna start with this because there is just so much. Hopefully I'm not talking forever and ever. So if some of this sounds familiar to you guys, it's because you might have heard some of this in that anxiety animation that I did. So it's just so you know. So ever since I can remember, I have had really bad anxiety, and there's no exaggeration there. Like actually since my very first memory ever, I was an anxious kid. My first day of kindergarten, I screamed and cried. I didn't want my mom or dad to leave me. I would like hug my teacher's leg all day because I was afraid to talk to other kids. I was afraid to do anything on my own. I had really bad separation anxiety. So when I went into grade 1, and this is what you guys might remember from my animation video, but I begged my dad to go to class with me. I had his car literally follow my bus to school because I was too afraid to be apart from anybody. So while I sat on that bus and I saw my dad's car behind me, I felt a little better because I knew he was like right there. And during recess, I would never want to actually go outside. I'd want to just stay inside with the teacher and do my work. I didn't want to go out and socialize, and if I did go outside, like if my teacher forced me to like go outside for recess, I would just stand by the front doors of the school and just like pray for recess to end really quickly so I can go back inside. I definitely came across as very weird to other kids, and that's why I was bullied from an extremely young age as well. I know, like, even thinking back to like grade 2, and I can't believe my memories go back this far, but I remember just sitting in class or being outside and just girls talking about me. Like I could hear them right beside me talking about me, like, oh, she's so weird. Why doesn't she have any friends? She's always just standing by herself. And even to this day, I really don't have a lot of friends. Like I can count maybe 3 really good friends, and they're friends that I've had for like 10 years, you know what I mean? Like I've kept these really close friends for a really long time, and I've never had a big friend group. I've never been a popular kid. I've never hung out in crowds. I've never been that type of person, and that's okay. And it's also okay if you're on the other side as well. Like if you don't have that many friends, let's say you have 1 or 2, that's okay. Or if you're on the other side and you have tons of friends, you're a social butterfly, that's alright as well. But I can definitely say that I was on this side of things. It's really sad because every day after school I'd kind of head up to my room and I'd just sort of go over my day in my head, and I would feel sad and just think like, well, I was alone all day again today. Or I would sit there and have these anxiety attacks just thinking about the next day, you know what I mean? Because every day going to school was this huge stress. It was a struggle for me. And I think when I was in grade 3 or 4, I went into my mom's bedroom and sat down beside her and I was like, Mom, I think I'm depressed. And I remember her face just like looking at me and she's like, what do you mean you're depressed? Are you sure you're not just sad today? Do you even know what that word means? Because, I mean, think about it. Think about you being a parent and your child who's in grade 3. How old are you in grade 3? You're so little. Imagine them just sitting in front of you and being like, I am depressed. You just don't expect those words to come out of a child that young. So my mom was like flabbergasted sitting there. And I remember her saying like, Jess, if you're depressed, like we'll get you help, we'll take you to therapy. You're too young to feel this way. And she was giving me all these options of what we can do. And I think I was so overwhelmed by all of it that I was like, oh no, I'm not depressed. I don't really know what that word means. I was just saying that. And it was a lie. It was just to sort of get out of that situation because I realized I scared my mom too much and I sort of just kept it to myself. Grade 3. Can you believe that? I'm not gonna cry. It started really young for me. And I think a lot of it also stemmed from bullying. Like, I know every day when I had to ride the bus, there was this guy, so I was probably in grade 3 or 4, and there was this guy who I think was in grade 8 at the time, and every time I walked onto the bus and I was going through the aisle, he would stick his foot out and trip me, and I would always fall onto the floor, and especially in winter, how the bus floor is always so muddy and stuff, so I'd get mud on my jeans and my hands, and everyone would just start laughing in the bus. So I had to deal with that like every single day, and then go to school and hear people talking about me and also feel like a weirdo because I was alone. And yeah, I did make I think 1 or 2 best friends when I was in elementary school, and they were amazing, but they weren't always around. Some days they were sick and couldn't go to school, or they had their own friends that they would run off to a lot of the time. So as great as they were, like, you can't really fully escape the anxiety or being alone. And then when I had to go into grade 5, I actually had to move schools, which was super difficult, especially for someone as antisocial as I was and as scared as I was. Moving to a whole new place where you don't know anybody and it's new teachers and just new kids and a new location, that was really hard for me. And I remember sitting on my bed weeks leading up to school and I was just bawling my eyes out, just talking to my mom. I was like, how am I gonna do this? I was already the weird girl. Now it's gonna be even weirder for me. And she just kept telling me like, Jess, you're gonna be okay. Go in there smiling, try and make friends. And so my first day of grade 5, I really tried to act friendly and I really tried to push myself to actually speak to people. And no, it wasn't a lot because I was still very, very shy, but I did make a really, really close friend in grade 5, and she was my friend all the way until grade 8, and she really got me through a lot. And if you guys saw my bullying animation, things did happen around grade 7 and 8 that weren't too great. I'm not gonna get into that again, but once again, it was also with the bullying situation. All through school, I dealt with really nasty people who just couldn't understand me, and I think a lot of the time, shyness comes off as being like, I don't know what word to use, snotty. Like, sometimes shy people look like they just don't care about anyone else, but that wasn't the case at all. Like, I would have given anything for someone to just come up to me and be friendly and talk to me, because then I'd talk to them back. I just have this issue with like actually going up to people and starting a conversation. Even today, I am still really shy, and I know that surprises you guys because on here I'm so like loud and crazy, and I'm like that in real life. It's just, it takes a while. Like, if you first meet me, it'll take a while for this personality to come out, and that has always worried me with meeting new people. Like, when I first met Ty's family and his parents, I remember just thinking, don't be shy, Jess, like, try and speak. And when I met them, like, I didn't talk that much, and it worried me when I left because I was like, what if I gave them the wrong impression and I really like this guy? And my shyness always holds me back. My anxiety always holds me back. Oh my gosh, I always cry in these really serious videos. And I mean, okay. Come on, Jess, get over it. Luckily, with Ty's family and his parents, they're so understanding, and I think they got me right away. So instantly I felt connected with them and included. So that situation was never a problem. But of course, like, regardless of what happened, I still have my insecurities in my head. But fast forward, I've been with Ty for a year and a half, and like I feel so close to his family, so everything's good with that. It's just like when I first meet people, I'm so nervous that I'll come across like I don't care, and that's never the case. I wish I knew how to start conversations better, and I wish I could do things a lot differently, and I am getting there. Like, I'm a lot better than how I was in elementary school. I'm not as shy as I was back then. But let's fast forward to high school. High school might have been the worst 4 years of my life. I know this whole video is probably super depressing and sad. As you can tell by the title of this video, literally has depression in it. Grade 9 was hard because, once again, new people, and I did meet this girl that I connected to right away, and she was just like me. She was very shy, so I think I just like get drawn towards people who are quiet and reserved because I'm that way, so I'm not as intimidated by approaching them, because whenever I see an outgoing person, I get overwhelmed, and it's nothing to do with like their personality. That's great. It's just me being so reserved. It's just more difficult for me to approach those people. But I did meet this girl, and we connected right away, and I don't even know how to go into this. Something really bad happened to me in high school. And yes, you heard about that story where that guy was abusing me, and that definitely is one part of my high school experience that was terrible. But something even worse than that happened that had to do with this girl that I met. And I still have not told that story on YouTube. And for about 4 years of me posting videos, I've been saying, I'll tell you guys one day what happened. It's gonna come out eventually. I'll open up to you guys one day. And I still haven't told this story. And I'm not gonna tell it today because that'll probably be like a 40-minute video with me crying and telling you guys what happened. But I'll tell it soon. But it's a story that I've always been really scared to tell you. This event that you guys don't know about, it happened in grade 11. And grade 11 sucked because my lung collapsed and I was in the hospital for months. My great-grandfather died and I had known him all my life. This guy was abusing me in class, and then this last final thing happened and it just sent me over the edge, and I think that's really when the depression came over me full force. Like, I had always had it. It kind of lines up with anxiety, but it had never been so overwhelming. It's like this dark shadow over you all the time, and it's such a hard thing to describe to people. Like, there's so many people, and I'm sure if you guys have depression, you've heard this before, people just say like, why can't you just get over it? Like, why can't you just be happy? And it's not really that easy. It's not like a sadness. It's like this numbness that makes you just feel tired and like you don't want to move at all, and you have this sort of what's the point sort of feeling. Like, what's the point of anything? What's the point of going on? Like, it's a very why do I even try anymore sort of feeling that I find. And I did go to therapy in grade 11, and it did get me through a lot of what happened that year. And don't worry, this whole story does get better. When I went to college, it was a chance for me to start new, and usually I was afraid of starting new with things and meeting new people, but I actually really tried in college. More than I ever had. More than I had when I first moved to a new school in elementary school. More than I had when I went to high school. This time when I went to college, I made friends the first day of school, and I tried to talk to people. I tried to sit with people. I really put myself out there, and it's really hard when you're socially awkward. It's really hard when you have anxiety. And you always think like, what are people gonna think of me? Do they think I'm weird? But the truth is, they don't. They're actually impressed when you go up to them and talk to them first. Because I know when I actually made these friends in college, I asked them like, what did you think of me the first day of school? Did you think I was awkward? And they were like, no, like you were so friendly. And I never thought of myself like that way before, but it just shows you that all your insecurities and all these bad things that you think about yourself, 9 times out of 10, people aren't thinking that back, you know? They don't look at you that way. People don't look at you the way you look at yourself a lot of the time. And I know like it's so easy to be hard on yourself, but you sort of have to let it go. You sort of have to just take a second, breathe, and then just keep going. And to this day, depression is there always. Anxiety is there always. Every time I do an event, take like Monday with my meet and greet, that whole entire day leading up to the actual meet and greet, I was like sweating, I was like breathing heavily, I was freaking out, having like a full-on anxiety attack because I knew I'd have to speak on stage, I'd have to answer questions on stage. But once I was there and in the moment, it feels great, you know? It feels good to step out of your comfort zone. It felt good to speak on stage. I was proud of myself. I was never able to public speak back when I was younger. If my younger self knew what I was doing now, I don't think she'd believe it. So if you're watching this and you are in elementary school or in high school and you just think like, when is this ever gonna end? Like, am I always gonna be this way? Am I always gonna feel this way? And the answer is no. And I know it's so cliche to say things get better, but they honestly do. And I'm not gonna lie to you and be like, oh, your anxiety and depression will just go away one day. It's usually there in the back of your mind, but it's up to you to hold it back as much as you can. For example, if I'm feeling really anxious one day and I have just so much stuff to do and I'm so stressed, I'll take a notebook and I'll write everything down that I need to do and have like a checklist. So me visually seeing my thoughts on a paper helps so much. It's like it takes it out of your brain and puts it somewhere, and my mom actually taught me that. Or let's say I'm having a day where I'm really depressed. I find something that will entertain me for like 2 hours, let's say, whether it's a movie, whether it's me reading, whether it's me drawing, something that I love to do that will entertain my mind to get rid of those dark thoughts. I try and do that. And a lot of people say like, oh, when you're depressed, try and hang out with friends and family. I know with me personally, that doesn't really work because when I'm depressed, I don't really want to socialize and be around people and talk about it and stuff like that. So it's up to me to entertain myself, and that usually really works. But let's say you're a person who likes being around, you know, your friends when you're sad. Then do that. Call them, text them, tell them what's going on. Everyone's gonna handle things differently. You just have to try different things and find what works. Like when I had Lyme disease, I fell right back into that depression hole, and every single day, I mean, thank goodness I had Thai. Thai was amazing, and I had to find things to do to help me. Making videos helped me. It got my mind off things. So there's ways around it. But I thought that I'd just sit here and tell you guys my full journey, and maybe at some point I'll tell you what happened to me in high school in detail. And that could be next week, that could be a year from now. I don't know when that will be. It really depends on the day and when I'm fully ready to just sit down and talk about it. And oh my goodness, I think this video is way longer than 10 minutes by now, but I know a lot of you that I met at my meet and greet were just saying that hearing stuff like this really helps them. So I hope this helps you, and I just want you to know that I love you dearly, and I just want you guys to be okay and to be happy, and there are honestly ways to do that, and you're not alone. A lot of people go through this. So I love you, and I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I will see you in my next video.